Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This type of content comes out every week, and occasionally I do like to throw in a bonus video every once in a blue moon when I can actually get one that I'm happy with. Anyway, and if you want to, as per usual, drop a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It really does go a massive way to helping out the channel too, especially this time of year. Small creators such as myself, your comments do amplify the video, give it a little bit of a boost, and yeah, all that good stuff. Even if it's not even really a really in-depth, deep discussional comment, and it's just like hello, it can go a long way. So by all means, do that if you want to. Don't feel like you're forced to. Anyway, enough talk about that. Before we jump into this week's issue, I do want to quickly say a couple of things. One, first off, obviously Christmas is around the corner, and so is Black Friday. So a couple of things. If you want to help support the channel and you want to save yourself some cash, I have affiliate links for Forbidden Planet, Wayland Games and Element Games in the description down below. You might be able to bag yourself some Warhammer bargains, whether you're, I don't know, after some issues of Combat Patrol that you may not be able to get on hold of before. It's worth having a look on Forbidden Planet for them. If you're after some more models for your collection, or you need some new painting supplies, whether it's brushes, paints, glues or anything like that, check out Wayland Games and Element Games. Both of them generally do things cheaper than GW do. I haven't double checked on Element Games' website for a little while, but Wayland Games definitely have a Black Friday sale up and running at the moment. They also do video games as well, so if you, I don't know, you have yourself a PS5 or a Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 or something like that, and you want to get yourself some games and stuff like that, you can use that affiliate code link in the description down below. Sometimes it's cheaper than buying from, say, like your local Argos, or if you have one nearby, Game, and stuff like that. And not only does it save you some money, it gives me a tiny bit back as well. It all goes towards supporting the channel, helps me out massively, and yeah, I super appreciate it. It's not enough for me to retire on, unfortunately, but you know, it all goes a little way, and eventually it adds up, and it gives me the opportunity to buy myself, I don't know, more tabletop RPG books, or more coffee, or whiskey. Most likely whiskey. Anyway, enough rambling on. This week, obviously, we are on issue number 63 of good old Combat Patrol magazine. It is a minis issue. We get 5 of the Genestealer Acolyte hybrids, but we'll have a look at those in a second. One thing we do get is cards. So the usual push-out cards. So we have our 5 data cards for the Genestealer cult. So the Magus, Acolyte hybrids, Neophyte hybrids, Goliath Rock Grinder, and Aberrants. So happy days, they're going to be really good fun to have. We also get some stratagem and enhancement cards for things like the Eldari in there, because, you know, we've got them really late for some weird reason. And we have some more terrain cards. Some of them are misprinted. So for instance, I have a couple that are wrong. So they should be that on the back of that, but it's not, it's that and that. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it's always fun when you find a little printing mistake, and yeah, happy days. But yeah, pretty cool. Obviously they will add to your current collection of them big cards, and yeah, do with them what you will, but obviously the magazine wants you to use them, so they do come in handy, and it could be worth using. Anyway, the Acolyte hybrids. So 5 minis, and we have a whole collection of heads. We have some different skulls on there as well that you can probably utilize as for bases and stuff like that. There are alternative options for a good few of them as well, for certain weapons and stuff like that. The guide does want you to follow these ones. I must admit, I probably going to follow the guide on this one. Although the banner, always really, really good fun to have a banner carrier. Although, are they really needed in 40k? Who knows? But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Obviously, there's a few choices to be made, but otherwise, yeah, pretty good sprue of minis. So happy days. I'll get around to building these at some point, and it will be a long time before I get around to painting them, because it's far too cold here in the UK at the moment for me to paint these guys up, because I prefer to spray paint to base coat everything. It is what it is. Anywho, enough rambling on about the cold and spray paint and stuff like that, because you've heard me talk more than enough about spray paint. Going into the issue. So, first off, it's a mini issue, so obviously we do have a build guide for the minis. So obviously the Acolyte hybrids do have a leader who has a nice whip and has multiple arms. Doesn't have 2 arms, doesn't have 3 arms, but he does have 4 arms. Not 4 arms, but 4 arms. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, pretty cool stuff. I do quite like the mini. I think it's a pretty good mini. They look pretty cool. He has a pretty cool head and a bit more of a Tyrannid style head as well. And then your other chappies get built up in different ways. You get your improvised weapon, which is obviously that circular saw. I prefer the circular saw out of all of the other weapons that you can have this guy carrying. The circular saw is probably one of my favourites. If you're not really keen on it and you want to go for other build options, Google Acolyte, Genestealer Acolyte hybrids instructions, and you'll find different build options for them. So you'll find the proper full GW good old instructions, and you can build them how you want them, really. Entirely up to you. Anyway, pretty cool. When you're done, you're going to have 5 of these chappies, and then they're ready to paint. In our paint guide, though, if you're following the guide, and I must admit, I'm probably going to follow the guide, because although I want to go slightly different, I'm going to follow the guide instead, because, yeah, it just makes life a little bit easier for me to not have to think about it. Going over Urbana Black as your undercoat, you're going to be utilising Macragge Blue, Administratum Grey, Mephiston Red, Wraithbone. Then your metallics like Lead Belcher, Retributor Armour, Screamer Pink, Corax White, all that good stuff. If you're following the guide does work very, very well. I must admit, I quite like the way the guide works, and it does give you a fairly decent paint scheme at the end of it. If you want to add a bit of flair for yourself, you can do, but in all honesty, the guide works. It just works. It works pretty well on its own, so you don't need to faff around with adding too much more to it. This guide, I think, does do exactly what you need it to do, in my opinion, and you'll get some really nice looking minis at the end of it that look a little bit like that. And yeah, while they're not 100% finished, they're very close to finished, in my opinion. I think they look really, really good. I like the skin tone. The skin tone works pretty well for these guys, because at the end of the day, you have to remember they're not full Tyrannid and they're not full human. They're very in between, so having a weird kind of texture and skin tone to them works pretty well. And yeah, does exactly the job you need it to do. Moving on from there, though, we get a bit of lore behind these guys as well. So, cult operatives. Try not to say it wrong. Genestealer cultists operate in the shadows, fighting a carefully orchestrated war against the planet's rulers. Their ranks include a number of skilled operatives whose unique Xenos biology, guerrilla training, or sheer zealotry grant them a host of abilities vital to the cult's insurrection. Working together, they are a dire threat. Often outnumbered and outgunned by Imperial forces, Genestealer cults make use of many highly specialised operatives who use devious tactics to wage guerrilla warfare from the shadows. Sabotage, concealed explosives, and biological weapons cause horrendous casualties, allowing a relatively small number of cultists to take on a much larger and better armed enemy force. Destroyed bridges, collapsed buildings, and undermined roads funnel the enemy into predetermined kill zones where they are vulnerable to attack. So, guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare it's been around for a long time. The Welsh used it against the English in medieval times, and when the English and Romans were invading good old Wales and stuff like that. It got used in places like Vietnam against the Americans and such like, and yeah, it's gone on for a very, very long time. So guerrilla warfare is a very, very useful tactic to have when you are outgunned and outmanned as well. So can be pretty handy. So these guys like to use a little bit of that. And that type of stuff. They utilise a bit of shadow operative, so whether it's a biophagus, so known as biophagus, is some of the most skilled, unusual specialists within a cult, skilled in science and the alchemical arts. They concoct a variety of elixirs and other cultic and combat stims that enhance the strength and ferocity of other cultists in battle. We have good old loons, so possessed with preternatural reflexes and great agility. Locusts are lightning fast. No, I did say locusts, not loons. That's my bad reading. Are lightning fast warriors who spring into action with a sudden outburst of violence. Then you have the Sanctuses, who are master assassins, and they look cool. I must admit, I like the look of these guys. They're really, really good. And then you have Saboteurs as well, who also have a really cool look to them. So you have some really good operatives to utilise with the Genestealer cults. If you want to have a little bit of fun and want to expand the army later on, it'll definitely be a little bit more fun for you. Then we're going to move into the collection pages. So obviously giving our Genestealer cults unit names and such like that, with the usual role tables. So you can get to do a bit of that, whether it's cultist names and unit epithets and such like that, and you get to have a little bit of fun with it. If you don't like using any of these, by all means, you can find them online. There are automatic generators through Google and stuff like that you can basically make some names, or just name them after friends if you really wanted to. And then we can name our good old acolyte hybrids, give them their background, give them their unit name, tick off whether you built them, painted them, played with them, and all that good stuff. And then obviously on the other side we have our data sheet for these chappies as well. So pretty cool stuff. They're pretty fun, pretty interesting, and a bit more unique, which is always really, really good fun. Moving on from there though, we have our scenario for the week. Scenario 39. So destroy the suppression field. So you get to do a little bit of that. We're going to utilise the good old acolyte hybrids going up against an enemy, which will be really, really good fun. You get to have a little bit of Chaos Space Marines against them, utilising some of the scenery cards as well to utilise as cover, and have a bit of fun with it. At the end, the way to win it is, controlling objective marker gains 1 victory point. So you get to have a little bit of fun with that. The Genestealer cults are going to be the Magus and Acolyte hybrids going up against Chaos Space Marines in the shape of a Hellbrute and a unit of 2 Chaos Space Marine Legionaries as well. So not many Chaos Space Marines, but they have got the Brute, which is always a little bit fun. So pretty cool stuff. You get to have a bit of fun with it and enjoy yourself. Moving on from there, we get a bit of information about the datasheet abilities for our Genestealers, so whether it's vile insurrectionists and stuff like that. One-shot weapons, some of them have as well, so that can always be fun. and yeah, a bit more on there as well. So you get to have a little bit of a unique background to these and how to utilize these weapons and their tactics in games later on, which is always very, very handy to have and works an absolute treat. Obviously, though, this is just the beginning of our Genestealer Cult's journey. So, issues 64 and 65, spread across 2 issues, unfortunately, are 10 neophyte hybrids. So, the neophyte hybrids aren't fully transformed into our acolyte hybrids and stuff like that. They are more your grunt soldiers in a roundabout way, so some of them are still quite human-like. And then some of them are slightly monstrous with the good old Tyrannid style heads and stuff like that. And they have some more weapons and a bit more range to them. Always really, really good fun. So, you get a little bit more information about those as well, and we'll get more lore and good bits and pieces, build guide, paint guide, all that good stuff, and happy days. So, really, really cool stuff. I must admit, I'm looking forward to the Genestealer Cults. I don't know huge amounts about them, so this is going to be right on my street, and will keep me entertained for a little bit until I can really get some spray painting done, because, you know, freezing cold weather and spray paint does not go together. Anywho, enough rambling on from me. Thank you very, very much for watching, and yeah, I will see you sometime soon. Bye-bye now.